Now, this is from a Twitter thread that that I was made familiar with not too long ago. I think this is in 2020. This was going on. Let me. Does that work better? I guess that works better. Okay, here we go. So I want to just give you a quick background here of what led up to all of this. And again, this is not a burn, but I want you to see what the process is here. Okay. So this is the Jordan. I did not do this. I am not responsible for this. I don't know who this guy is, Rational Disconnect. But so Michaela started with the lion diet, which consists of only eating beef, salt, and water. Although this verges on an eating disorder, Michaela claimed that it cured many of her health problems. As we have heard throughout all of these videos, she even announced that she stopped taking her medication, including an anti-herpes drug. Okay, so what's that drug? That's this right here. You see that? There we go. Okay, what he's mentioning is the Valtrex at the very bottom of that. Now, what is Valtrex? Valtrex is this. It is used to treat infections caused by a certain type of virus. In children, it is used to treat cold sores in the mouth, which is a herpes simplex, chickenpox. And in adults, it is used to treat shingles caused by herpes zoster, cold sores around the mouth, and is also used to treat outbreaks of genital herpes. So that was what everybody was making a big deal out of back in the day. So there you have that. Then she then convinced her father to start her diet. Soon after starting, Jordan reported that he stopped taking his antidepressants as well. So you've got dad on antidepressants and you've got daughter on antidepressants. These were part of that thread. Throw that in there. Now, this is where I wanted to get to. Okay, it was around this time that Peterson reported not being able to sleep for 25 days straight while experiencing what? An overwhelming sense of impending doom after drinking some apple cider.
But it was
just physical.
Oh, Jesus, I was so dead. But I didn't want to not do it.
Apple cider. Like, what was it doing?
Sulfites in it.
What was it doing to you?
Oh, it produced an overwhelming sense of impending doom. And I seriously mean overwhelming. Like, there's no way I could have lived like that if that would have lasted for... See, Michaela knew by that point that it would probably only last a month. And I was like...
A month?
Yeah,
from
a month.
Fucking cider?
Oh, I didn't sleep that month. I didn't sleep for 25 days. I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all for 25 days.
How is that possible?
I'll tell you how it's possible. You lay in bed, frozen in something approximating terror for 8 hours, and then you get up.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Not
and
good.
This is from fucking cider. From cider.
That's what we thought. Yeah. I mean, look, again, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Okay. I'm ending it there because that's where the clip ends. Okay. If you want to see that, also available on Joe Rogan's show. All right, let's keep going. It was because of this anxiety caused by a severe autoimmune reaction to food, quote unquote, that Jordan was prescribed benzodiazepine, which was increased after his wife was diagnosed with cancer. This led to Peterson's developing a physical dependence on the medication. Again, you can read this later. I'll put this in. Now, this is not to beat up on the family here. I know it probably sounds like I am, but I have to sort of lead up to this so you know where we're going when we get to the kill to party dynamic here, okay? According to Michaela, after multiple failed rehab attempts, she claims almost killed him, Peterson was moved to Russia for alternative treatments. The unknown treatment put Peterson into a medically induced coma for 8 days and gave him neurological damage. So if you think that Peterson is not quite the same Peterson as he was back in 2018, that might be why. Now, here we go. In the middle of her father's hospitalization, Michaela left her husband and dad to travel around Romania with Andrew Tate. His words, not mine, a misogynist pickup artist, which is not, and webcam pimp who runs a scam website and thinks that depression doesn't exist. And of course, that's when you get the infamous picture here. And you get the one that I showed you just not too long ago, where she's hanging out, enjoying herself. And I'm going to just throw this, I'll throw this other one up here in just a second. This is the infamous picture right there. That doesn't look like a girl who's like fearful that her dad's going to die or worried about what her husband is thinking in any sense. Again, no hate on Tate. No hate on Tate. Tate's going to do what Tate's going to do. However, here you have Mikhaila Peterson taking time out of her busy schedule and her father's medical regimen, who's in a medically induced coma, to go to Romania and hang out with the Tates, or at least him. Oh, we'll come back to that. Hold on. A little premature. That's the one I wanted right there. This was another one. Again, this is when everybody hits up on the Tates about like his connection with Mikhaila. That's what everybody gets to. Just throwing that out there. Side note, Mikhaila's husband is from Russia. Thus Andre, right? Claims to be possessed by a demon named Igor and is the one who helped Mikhaila get her dad into Russia for those treatments. Next, this entire time, Mikhaila was charging people $50 to $600 for memberships to her diet website that offered virtually nothing. The site is now defunct for a second time and was basically just a support group for people claiming that the diet cured them. But does it work for anyone? You guys can, again, that's kind of immaterial to everything that's going on. Well, it apparently didn't work for her father, as we have already seen. It didn't work for her because she admitted that she also took anti-anxiety drugs while on her diet, and it didn't help her mother, who was on the diet and was diagnosed with kidney cancer, requiring 2 surgeries. Again, that's immaterial to what we're talking about here. And then last but not least, Peterson finished his treatment in Russia. They went to Florida and eventually ended up in Serbia, where Mikhaila gave her entire family COVID, hospitalizing Jordan yet again. And the crazy thing is that, as far as I can tell, Jordan hasn't talked directly to the media since in 2019. All updates have come through his daughter. Now that, of course, this was back in 2020. So take that to be whatever you want it to be. So that's the background. That's the timeline. That's everything that's happened up to this point. Now, my point is this, is here we are in 2021. You have Mikhaila Peterson finding God a month before she announces that she's getting divorced from this guy completely, permanently, when she has been asked about that, that period of time when she was in Romania with Andrew Tate. She said she was on a break. They were separated. There was some sort of separation between her and Andre at that time. I'm sure there was. And all of this, I think, is, I don't say grist for the mill here, but it is the degree. And now, granted, is she crazy? Maybe she's crazy. Who knows, right? But we're still taking her seriously enough to have her on Joe Rogan, to still have her on Tim Pool, to still have her on. Name the podcast that she's been on. We'll still take her super seriously about what she has to say, and yet no one seems to want to address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. This is kill to party. She does not want to have the kid. She's already admitted. She admitted that back in July. The kid is a hindrance. Yet when you go and you look at her Instagram, she uses the kid. She has Scarlett, and cute kid, by the way. And I feel for the kid, but she uses that as an accessory. It's an article with which to take pictures of. What is that meme where it's like when guys take a picture, they take a picture of the cup, and when the girl is like, the girl with the cup is like, it's the girl and the cup kind of thing. That's the meme. The child is the cup. The child is the prop. And I have to also include this as well, because this is the kind of shit that pisses me off. Your child is not a prop. Shouldn't be a prop anyways. And when I see this kind of stuff, it's not so much the prop thing, as it's the ability that people cannot be judgmental. They can't question that. I covered this with Pat Campbell. I covered this with Pat Campbell back in the old days. And I mentioned what I've called the cult of the child. And the cult of the child is you cannot question someone's ideology when a child is the one that is the face or the figurehead of that particular ideology. Now, what does that mean? Well, in a political sense, that means, like, say, for example, I think it was like David Hogg. Remember that right after the Nicholas Cruz shooting in Florida. And of course, everybody got all over gun control, and that's kind of how he got his shtick. I don't know if he's even still around anymore, but I mean, oh, here's a good one. Greta Thunberg, right? She's a climate change activist at 12 years old, and she looks like she's got fetal alcohol syndrome. And if someone like that can figure out that we need to change our mind about, pollution and our carbon footprint and everything else, then how come you can't? And if you can't, you're not against climate change per se, you're against kids. That's the cult of the child. That's exactly what, on a political scale, that's what the cult of the child is. If children are smart enough to figure out that our ideology is correct, then if you're against our ideology, then you must be incorrect. You must be against the kids. And so people will back up from that, like that. And by the way, the cult of the child has been something that's been used like for a long time. That's not some new invention. Politicians have used that for, like, DeSantis just used it not too long ago. He had a kid come up and, whatever you think of DeSantis in Florida, governor of Florida, he had some kid come up and talk about, like, some little girl come up on the stage and to the podium and talk, speak her piece about the mask mandate in school. Okay. Cult of the child, whatever it is. Here's a kid and the kids figured it out. Why can't you? Politicians have used that all the time. Like, oh, let's get the kids up here and talk about how great I am and how you should vote for me. Let's get the kids to come up and talk about climate change. Let's get the kids to come up and talk about gun control. Because if you're against gun control, you're against the kids. It's the same thing when you're using your child to sort of be a human shield against criticism, against anybody saying anything different. That's what the kids are, when the kids are on this march against gun control, they're ideological human shields. When you use a child, your child or any other child for that matter, as a prop in your, brand of me marketing on Instagram, you are engaging in the exact same thing. Well, you can't be critical of Michaela because look, you have such a cute kid. And I agree. Who can be against a little kid, right? What's the matter for you? And I think that needs to be sort of trotted out there, at least, because I see mostly female. Of course, females are going to do that because it's the idea that mommy knows best. You want to know why? One of the reasons why we have such a, one of the reasons why we have when custody primarily goes to women. It's that presumption that mommy knows best. Mommy's going to be better at it than daddy is. And when every stat in the universe, go read The Boy Crisis, right, by Dr. Warren Farrell. Every stat in the universe says men raise better kids than women. Sorry, them's the stats. Those are the numbers there. And single mommies once again. And I'm gonna get back to the single mommy thing here, but I do want to point out that this is primarily what I'm talking about when we get into the kill to party dynamic. Now I'm going to use, not only am I going to use this child, this sort of I want to say ideological human shield, but my life choices human shield, my anti-judgment shield. But you're also admitting that the kid was like unplanned, was an oops, and I would have done things differently had I had the change. Had I been who I am right now, I would have done things differently. I'm sure you would.